Hi there, Brittany here from Just Be Crafty. If you're new here, welcome, and if not, thank you so much for coming back. I have a fun new tutorial for you today. We're going to learn how to make this super soft and luxurious pink fuzzy pillow. This pillow takes me back to the late 90s and early Y2K days where pink fur was everywhere. Think Elle Woods' furry coat or Cher's pink fuzzy pen in Clueless. But this pillow brings us a little more modern edge with the more sophisticated dusty pink color. I really hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe so you never miss a new tutorial or podcast episode. And if you find the tutorial helpful today, be sure to give the video a thumbs up. To make your own pillow, here's what you'll need. We'll be using Lion Brand's Gopher Faux yarn in the color Pink Poodle. It's a super soft and luxurious yarn that's just dying to become a big fluffy pillow. I'm also using one of my favorite 8mm hooks, a Susan Bates bamboo handle hook. It's really comfortable to hold and looks really beautiful in photos. We'll also be using scissors and a 16-inch pillow form. And now, with all that out of the way, let's go ahead and get started. We're going to start off by making a slip knot. Next, grab your hook, slide it into the knot, and pull tight. We're now ready to start our foundation chain. For this project, stitch count is not going to matter. You're going to want to go by fit for your pillow. So you want to make a foundation chain that is about 1.5 inches to 2 inches larger than the pillow form you're going to be using. So for example, my pillow form is 16 inches. So that means I want my foundation chain to be anywhere between 17.5 or 18 inches long. So for me, that's going to be about 35 chains, but for you, that might be a different number depending on your gauge and on the size pillow that you're making. If you'd like, go ahead, pause here, and meet back up with me once you have a foundation chain that's about 1.5 to 2 inches larger than your pillow form. As always, I'll have links to the written pattern in the video's description box. You can view the free version of the pattern on my blog, and I'll also have a link to the printable PDF version, which can be purchased in my shop. You'll want to follow along with the written instructions as you watch the tutorial to help guide you through the project. Okay, I finished my foundation chain and I'm just going to do a quick check on my pillow to make sure it's the right size. Okay, that looks like it's about 2 inches bigger than my pillow form, so I'm ready to start row 1. We're going to start row 1 by making a single crochet into the second chain from our hook. It's going to be a little hard to see our stitches, so we're really going to have to go by feel here. You're going to want to kind of feel your way into that second chain from your hook. Once you find that spot, we're going to make a single crochet right in that spot. Okay, so we made our first stitch. Now we're going to find our next chain. So really use your hands to find that next chain, insert your hook, and complete a single crochet. Find the next chain, and we're going to do the same thing. Insert your hook into that next chain and do a single crochet. Repeat this process across the row. So you should end up with 1 stitch less than your foundation chain. For me, I made 35 chains, so that means I'll have 34 stitches at the end of row 1. Like I said, stitch count is not important, but your stitch count number you'll want to remember. So I have 34 stitches, so that means I'll want to make sure that I maintain 34 stitches for the entirety of the project. If my stitch count goes down or goes up, then it'll either respectively get smaller or get larger as I go. So every so often, you're going to want to make sure that you count your stitches the best you can to make sure that you're maintaining that same stitch count number. Go ahead, pause here, and meet back up with me once you've completed row 1. All right, I'm just finishing up my last stitch. And I've just completed row 1. So now we're ready to do row 2. So turn your work, and we're going to start row 2 with a chain 1. And we're going to do the same thing we did in the previous row. We're going to use our hands to find that first stitch, and we're going to make a single crochet. Use your hands to find the next stitch and make another single crochet. You're just going to repeat making single crochets into each stitch across the row. The further you get in the project, the easier it will get, just because you'll get used to working with the yarn. But really throughout the whole project, you're really going to be relying on feel rather than seeing your stitches. Starting now in row 2 and going up, you will be able to see your stitches just a little bit more, but trust me, you'll definitely still be relying on feel for the stitches, but you'll start to find your groove and it will get much easier. So this is all you're going to be doing for the rest of the project. You're just going to be working back and forth in rows, starting with a chain 1, and you're just going to be single crocheting across the rows and making sure you're maintaining that original stitch count from the start of your project. So if you'd like, pause here and meet back up with me once you've completed row 2. Alright, so I'm just working my last couple stitches, my last single crochet. And that completes row 2. So now we're ready to turn our work and begin row 3. So start with a chain 1, and we're just going to keep doing the same thing. We're finding that first stitch and making a single crochet, and we're just going to single crochet into each stitch across the row. So you're going to want to keep working back and forth in rows until your piece measures the width of your project. So my piece is about 17.5 inches long. So I want to crochet until my entire piece measures the length of 17.5 inches. If you'd like, pause here and meet back up with me once your crochet piece is the same length as its width. I'm working on my last row. My piece is about 17.5 inches long, and I'm just finishing up my last couple stitches. Okay, one more stitch to go. Okay, all right, so now my piece is 17.5 inches long, so you can see, and I'm ready to cut my yarn and fasten off. Just gonna cut my yarn, and then I'll pull my tail through that loop and pull it tight to secure. Okay, so you've finished your first panel and now it's time to make your second. So you're going to repeat this entire process to make your second pillow panel. Pause here and meet back up with me once you have both of your panels finished. Okay, so let's zoom out and I have both of my panels finished. So I've gone ahead and actually tied knots in all of my tails that you see here, and I'm not even going to bother weaving them in because they're going to be on the inside of the pillow, they're knotted, and we're not even going to see them. So I'm just going to cut them to be a little bit shorter than what they are now, so they're not too incredibly long. And I did that on both of my panels. So grab your first panel and lay it so that the tail side is face up. And then take your second panel and lay it so the tail side is face down. So right now you should have your good sides facing the outside and your wrong sides, or the sides with the tails, facing inside. And don't worry, if you miss a tail, you can just tuck it in later. Okay, so we just zoomed in and I'm going to start with a slip knot. Grab your hook, put it in the knot, pull tight, and with both layers and tucking your tail to the inside, you're going to kind of use your hands to find the corner stitches. So this doesn't have to be perfect. It might not actually be a stitch, but you're just going to kind of find some sort of opening that we can attach both of these layers together. So once you find that, stick your hook in and then we're going to make a single crochet. You're going to do your best to go back into that same spot and make 2 more single crochets. So that's our corner. So each corner is going to have 3 single crochets. Lining up our panels the best we can, we're just going to be single crocheting these 2 layers, the 2 pieces together. You're going to keep working in single crochets across this row up until you get to the next corner. At the next corner, you're going to make 3 single crochets into the corner space, and you're going to repeat until you've completed 3 sides in total. So your last stitches will be in a corner space, and you're going to want to make 3 single crochets in your last corner. You want to leave the last and 4th side open, so that way we can throw our pillow in there, and then we'll go from there and we'll stitch it closed. So if you'd like, pause here and meet back up with me once you've completed single crocheting 3 of your sides together, and remembering to put 3 single crochets in each corner. Okay, so as you can see, I finished single crocheting 3 of my sides together. I ended in my 4th corner with 3 single crochets, so one side is remaining open, and we're now going to tuck our pillow into our pillow cover. That's what the inside should look like. Let's grab our pillow form, and we're gonna tuck it into our pillow cover. And oh my gosh, I love how it looks. And we're just going to be single crocheting in the same fashion that we were before. So it might be a little bit trickier now that we have the pillow in there, but you're just going to be doing the same thing. So just go slow, be patient, and remember, it doesn't have to be perfect. This yarn is super forgiving, so any mistakes you might make or any flaws are very well hidden in the fuzz of this yarn. Now let's zoom in really quick. As I work this row, I'm kind of doing one layer at a time to make sure that I'm catching both layers, and I'm kind of using my hands to stuff the pillow into the pillow form as I go. Let's zoom out. I'm just kind of working slowly across this row. Okay, so I made it back around to where I started. I'm just going to make a slip stitch into the first stitch of the round, or where I guess that first stitch is. And we're almost done, so now we can go ahead and clip our yarn. And I'm just going to pull that tail 2 times through the loops on my hook. And I'm just going to pull that tight to secure. Like I said before, I'm not going to worry about weaving in my ends. I'm just going to use my hook to pull the tail into the pillow. And oop, it looks like I grabbed another tail that was already in there, but that's okay. I'm just going to insert my hook a few inches under where my tails are coming out, and then hook it back up where my tails are coming from. And I'm just going to pull my tails to the inside of the pillow. And then I'm just going to snip those tails. And look, they kind of just disappear into the pillow. So you can go ahead and repeat that process for any other tails that are sticking out of your pillow. And there you have it. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, please let me know by giving the video a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe so you never miss a new tutorial. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!